Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be modeling this disc brake for an automotive. I just thought about it and thought it'd be something that'd be fun to walk through because I was playing with polar arrays, and I just thought it'd be fun to demonstrate some that work real nice. So without anything else, I'm just going to start a new one. So that's what we're aiming for. So I'm going to create a part, a body, and a sketch. And we're going to do it on the XY plane. So our first sketch is going to be a 300 millimeter circle. That's going to define the outer size of our disc brake. So make that 300 millimeters. And you can see that that's much bigger. Okay, and then that is going to be padded to the full width of both. It's going to be padded to 70 millimeters. So now these, let's bring that into better view. So that's the full width of both discs and the fins inside. So now we're going to start by adding the hub, and we're going to do a sketch on that surface plane. Do a circle and make sure it's centered. And I'm going to set the radius to this to I think it was 180. Yep, that looks good. So again, this is not modeled after any specific design. It's just a free-form version. So now we're going to pad that to we'll make that 90. That probably should be a little bit. That looks about right. Okay, so that's now we're going to pocket out the middle section here. Or let's pocket this out first. So this shape is like a cup up there that mounts on the hub. So we're going to put a sketch on this bottom plane here, and we're going to add another circle, and that's coincident with the center, and radius that to, let's see, 160. So it makes the walls 20 millimeters. I don't know if that's, and I'm going to probably say this a lot. This is not any kind of particular specs. It's just kind of what feels right to me. So we're going to pocket this, and we're going to pocket that up to 130. So that leaves a wall of 20 millimeters up here. So it's this 70 and this 90. Yep, that looks about right. Okay, so that's, you see our basic disc taking shape. So now we're going to add a center hub here, and we're going to do it with a sketch. And yet another circle, coincident with the center of the main axes, and let's make that, just make that a straight 85. Again, doesn't matter that much. We're just having fun. So now we're going to pocket that to create a hub, and we're going to use the through all, so we don't have to worry about how thick it is, even though we know it to be 20 millimeters. Okay, so now we're going to add to this sketch. Now these next pieces I'm going to try to add, these are going to be all polar arrays, so I'm going to try to add them all on the x-axis positive vector here, looking up the vector or out the vector, I don't know. So we're going to pick the top plane of the hub mount, and we're going to do a sketch on there, and we're going to do a circle. Oops. And let's set the radius first, and we're going to set the radius to 15 millimeters. So it's going to be a pretty big bolt. Now I want to center this. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to wait for my computer to catch up. I'm going to pick the create link to external geometry, and I'm going to link on these two edges. Now I'm going to make a line from that edge to that edge, and now I'm going to make it perpendicular, horizontal, and I want to move it up to here. Okay, so I just snap to the grid. I'm not worried about that being a constraint. I just want it kind of about there. So this is going to be a construction line, so let's toggle that. And now let's put this circle onto that line with a fix a point on the object. I always call that a coincident constraint, even though it's not. Now I'm going to center this point with the symmetry constraint on this against that line. Okay, and that's good enough. So now I have what's going to be my cutout for my lugs. So let's pocket that. And we'll just do through all, love through all. And that's our first lug. And my car has 5 lugs, so I'm going to do it after mine. So I'm going to pick the pocket, I'm going to pick polar array, and we're going to make that 5. So I have 5 lugs in my car. Looking more and more like the disc brake already. That's good. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is I want to create the vent fins inside here, and they're going to be 30 high. But so I'm going to start by doing a sketch on the bottom side. So I'm going to make a shape, a wedge shape. Now I could do this with a subtractive wedge, but I want to do this all sketch based. So now I'm going to do across the surface. This will be the braking surface. So I'm going to do a polygon like this, and we're going to get it all, and it's going to be, and so we're going to take this polygon and move it down. All right, these need to be coincident. Sorry. So I'm going to move it down here, and let me pause 1 second because I realized my keycaps aren't on, or key monitor. That helps you to see what I'm doing. So it's been straightforward stuff so far. So now I'm going to set these vertical lengths. I'm going to set this one to 15, or I'm going to try 10 actually, and then I'm going to set this one to 25. Now I didn't measure for this, but we want to create kind of parallel fins. This probably will not, because I didn't measure. I'd have to measure the radiuses and whatnot, and this is on the fly. So let's get rid of this horizontal constraint so we can get our trapezoid good. So now I'm going to create a symmetry here, symmetry to get this centered around this axis, and that's going to help me in my rotation, and just to lock it into a certain position and know that it's all squared up and whatnot. So that's good. That's all we need. So now I'm going to bring this in there, and bring this in. So I'm just bringing it closer so that those measurements are a little more pertinent to the radius I'm working with. Again, this is, so if we were doing this for you know, real engineering, we would we'd calculate what this needs to be, and calculate what this needs to be based on the radius of the disc and all that. But we're just having fun. Okay, so that's done. So we close it, and you can see it's kind of where we need it to be. We need it to be up 20 because that's the edge of the first disc. So let's go to the sketch, and we'll go to map mode and change that to translate, and then we'll go to placement, position, and in the Z we're going to move this up to 20. You can just type in 20, and you can see this is interactive, so it moves as you type, which I love that. So now we're going to pocket this. So it's going to pocket this sketch in the Z direction. So I'm going to pocket. You see it's already cut out, and it's going to be a 30mm pocket, which I just typed, so it's quicker. And click OK. Now you can see my computer starting to struggle. So now we want to etch this, or we want to duplicate this all the way around the disc, and I've determined that about 40 times works. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the polar array again, and we're going to just put in 40 here, and now you're going to see my computer really go slow, and you can just click anywhere for it to, so you can see it's not doing anything because I can't rotate that. So it'll take my computer a full 5-10 seconds to catch up to this. I can go ahead and click OK. It'll catch up. Okay, so we're caught up, or almost caught up. I think it's saving too. Give it a few more seconds. if this gets too bad, I'll just pause the video when I change the polar array from now on, and I'm just gonna get okay as soon as I said it. So that's really starting to look like a disc brake. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to route out this edge, so it's this edge and the inside edge, because that's the way disc brakes look. I'm not sure what that does. This one's a little trickier because what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this plane here. That's going to be what my sketch is based on. But what you can see as soon as you do the sketch, it obscures itself. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to that that plane. I'm going to use select external geometry, and I'm going to click the front edge of it, and I'm going to click the back edge of it. Okay, so now I can hide my part, and we can see what we're working with. So that's where I need to create my shapes that are going to be grooved around the whole thing. And to groove it, I'm going to use two rectangles. I'll put one there and one there. Let's zoom up so they're see what we're working with. And I'm going to make each of the sides coincident with these with the endpoints. Try that again. Okay. And then I'm going to measure up the side, measure up the inner piece of the rectangle, the piece that's going to do the groove, which is this piece here. So I'm going to use this point. I don't know about you, but these can be really hard to select sometimes. And this one, sometimes they're easy. So I'm just going to have it groove out 10 millimeters in, and I don't need all that. And then we'll do the same thing over here. Missed it. This is a pet peeve of mine, selecting those. Wish okay, so that's going to be 10 millimeters in as well. All right, and this side of it doesn't really matter because we're just not, it's not being used for anything. Okay, so that's the sketch. So now we can close the sketch, and you can see that you can start to see how. So this is what's going to groove out. So now we're going to use the groove tool here, and when it's running, I'm going to pause. So I'm just going to do groove. And a little trick I realized was that if I groove along the sketch axis, this plane is not parallel to the center. It's off center. So if you groove to the sketch axis, this groove is going to be off centered from the rest of the disc. So when the groove eventually comes up, I'll show you how to pick the axis, the main axis. Okay, so you see the groove. You know, it looks pretty good, but we want to make sure that it's not the vertical sketch axis, because even though these look kind of parallel, I'm pretty sure they're not, and I know they're not parallel to the center. Now they're pretty close, but okay. But I want to make sure this is grooved evenly to the center, not to it might be out of center otherwise. So we're gonna, instead of letting the vertical sketch axis, we're gonna pick the base Z axis. So when it does that groove, it's going to reorient my sketch to be perpendicular to that Z axis and give me a nice groove. Okay, so while I had it paused, I fiddled with these openings a little bit. I made this one 25, and the inside one I made the outside one 35 and the inside one 20, I think. Okay, so I just wanted to make it look nicer. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put slots in the top of this and in the bottom of this. And this one I kind of enjoyed a little bit more because it uses the groove, the Sketcher's groove, the cut a slot tool. So I'm going to create a sketch against this plane, and then we're going to take the cut a slot and just make one that's of arbitrary size. Okay, and I'm going to hide the model, and what we're going to do is we're going to take these radiuses and we're going to take them down to 3 millimeters. Okay. And we're going to set this against this axis for reference. So let's get rid of that constraint. So these are going to be slotted this way and that way. And we're going to make it 15 millimeters off. So to position the slot so that it's easy to set up, because I have to do a slot on the other side. So we're going to give it measurements so we can set it up easily on the other side. Don't know why that does that. Why it's red? Oh, because it's the measurement line is to the center. Okay. So, and we'll be that 15 there. Okay. That's fine. Okay. So let's close that. No, I don't. It's all right. We got to move that a little bit. It's not where I want it. Okay, I had a little crash there, and I found out why I was going so slow. Part of the reason I was going slow, one is I'm on an old computer, and the other reason is I had 2 video streams going. Okay, so the final thing I've got the two 15 millimeters. I made it 15 millimeter off the center. I made it 80 millimeters with 3 millimeter radius, and now I'm going to set the distance here, and that's so. And let's just set it to an even 202. Okay, oops, not 2002. Anybody see that coming? Okay, so good. So that's my sketch, and the reason I wanted to set it some is I want it to be fixed so the other side can match it easily. So let's close that. And now we're going to pocket this, and this is going to be a demonstration of through to face. So we're going to pocket and pick through to first. Sorry, so that pockets it through to the first face. So you don't need a dimension in that case. So you see, now you can see that it's pocketed only down through there. Okay, and now we're going to do a polar array of the slot all the way around. So you pick the last feature, and we're going to do polar array. And we're going to do, it's going to be 20 here. And just click OK. And you can see it's really starting to, my poor old computer. Okay, so the polar array finished. Now you can see we have our slots. I don't know the engineering of this, whether you do slots and fins, but I think it looks cool, so I'm doing it. Or what size the slots are going to be, or whatever. I don't know. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another slot over here, and we're going to use this slot as an easy reference point to try to do it a lot easier. So we're going to use this sketch. So I'm going to turn that sketch back on so it's easy to select. And we're going to put a sketch on this face right here. And before we do anything, we're going to go around and let's get rid of the polar pattern. So our sketch is there. Boy, this gets a little confusing, doesn't it? So our new sketch doesn't have anything in it, but this is our old one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a link to external geometry, and all I need is this guy and this guy. So you can see the neat thing about the polar geometry, the external geometry, is it maps it to where your new sketch is, to the plane of your new sketch. It projects it through. So now all we need to do is create another slot, and we can do that by picking that point and picking that point. And it screws it up a little bit, but we're going to get rid of that. And now it's happier. Or is it? Nope, it isn't. Let's get rid of this. I don't know. So it locked the. It did the wrong constraint. It's not perfect. So let's get rid of this constraint here, and that one I think can stay. So now let's try this. There we go. So now you can see it's perfectly lined up with the opposite side, and now we set these to, share them, set them to 3, and then we'll get rid of the ones we don't need. Fully constrained. They're done. So that's a really easy way to duplicate that sketch. I was trying to do it mirroring and stuff. This was much easier. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pocket that. And wait, and wait, and wait. Okay, and we're going to do through to first, same as before. Then click OK. So now we have our slot ready to be done, patterned polarly. So I have my slot, I click polar pattern, and my computer's going to be happy that we're almost done. So now we're going to change this to 20, and I'm just going to click OK. So we'll get our polar pattern, and then the last thing I'm going to do is a little bit of chamfering, and then we're done. Okay, so that's our final polar pattern for the slots on that side. So we have slotted. Now the interesting thing is that you could do this sketch. You could have you could have circles that grade upward. You could put whatever you like in there, and then make a pattern. Okay, so to finish this guy up, let's hide this sketch. I don't know why the grid's still there. Okay, so I'm going to select this. I'm going to select the lugs, the outer edge, and the inner, and just chamfer that. Okay, so that's our final polar pattern for the slots on that side. So we have slotted. Now the interesting thing is that you could do this sketch. You could have you could have circles that grade upward. You could put whatever you like in there, and then make a pattern. Okay, so to finish this guy up, let's hide this sketch. I don't know why the grid's still there. Okay, so I'm going to select this. I'm going to select the lugs, the outer edge, and the inner, and just chamfer that. So the default chamfer is 1 millimeter, and I'm going to click this twice to go to 3. So the default chamfer is 1 millimeter, and I'm going to click this twice to go to 3. And that's it. So that's our full. I'm going to save that guy off because I think it's fun. That's our model of a disc brake. So this, I don't think this would withstand engineering mustard, but but boy, it's fun. And having a finished product like that, finished model, super fun. Have a great day. If you like this, please share it and subscribe for more videos. I think I'm going to try to. I've got a Castle effector arm that I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be doing a really careful step-by-step on that. I think I'm trying to work out how I can do those in a timely manner. But I think I'm going to try to do ad hoc ones like this as well because they're kind of more fun to do. So make sure you like it, and I'll see you around next time.